Hey everybody, this is Brad from Johnson Small Engines, better known as the one-hand mechanic. If I can do it, you can too. Today we are working on a Cub Cadet 2X24. I'm going to show you how to remove and reinstall the carburetor. Let's get to it. Okay, so we have it up on a bench here, and the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take off this choke knob right here, and I always use my clip removal tool. You can use 2 pairs of screwdrivers, just pry up evenly on this. And that'll just come up. Now you do have to remember, when you put it back on, there's a big opening on this side and there's a small opening on this side. And when we get into this, I'll show you on the plastic part of the choke that you have to put it on there correctly so you don't misalign it. Then we have to take off 10 millimeter right here. It's a 10 millimeter socket, and you're going to need an extension. One down here. We have 2 over on this side, right here. Now you do have to be careful a couple things. This is a smaller bolt right there as opposed to this one here. It's around front. Okay, so you just try to put them back in the same spot. Actually, this is a longer one. So if somebody's been in here before, I'm going to go back down to this guy here. Right down in here, there is a little slot right there that is nice. They actually thought about it. We don't have to take the handle off anymore, but you do have to line it up with that slot. And also, while we're here, there's a collar here. And there's collars over here and here. These collars can fall out. So just to keep that in mind, you want to make sure that you don't lose them. I'm going to go ahead and just pull this off. You do have to go over your choke shaft right there. So you got to go up and then slide it out. Okay, so you have your ignition wire, which you don't have to take off, and then you have your primer line right here. And we're just going to pop this prime line out of the space right here. Wow, that's tight. I'm going to go ahead and take it off the carburetor right there. Sometimes you can just pull them up like so. They'll come off. If they're dry rotted, definitely replace them. And then you can just pick this up off to the side like so. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just pull that off now since it's easy to take that off right there. Just Phillips head screw. It just makes it easier to get to the stuff in here because you have a breather tube here that we have to take off, and then we also have to pinch the fuel line and take that off too. Okay, so I'm just going to slide this off here, and this will pull out and it'll pop off anyway. And also we're going to pinch the fuel line right about here. Now I did flush this tank out. If you drain your tank, there's the newer style actually has a hidden fuel filter that's right here. And I know that this is clean, but I have a video on showing this. There's a fuel filter in there. If you don't have a fuel filter inside the tank where the inlet is for the fuel, I'll put the link in the video in the description below on that little, it's a 30-second video. It shows you the fuel filter in this line. So if you have a newer version of this motor, that may help. I'm going to go ahead and take this clamp off right here. That's really on there. Sometimes if you twist the fuel line, it'll actually loosen it up. Okay, so we have to take off these 2 nuts right here. This should pop this off right here. And there's also 2 spacers which go right here. So these spacers right here go inside. Just keep that in mind so you don't lose them. And everybody asks me, how do you get this off? All right, well, the little square, this is the choke rod itself. I do it a different way than everybody does it. They want to know how to get this out of here. All you have to do is, I have a video on how to get this out. Pull this out, and then it'll slide up and out. You can put it in your new carburetor if you're replacing a carburetor. But there's also, put a screwdriver in here and a screwdriver in this little tab here, in this hole, and then you can push the tabs in, and then this will come out. But I do it the easy way. I just pull out this choke plate real easy, slides up, and out it comes. I have a video on that. I'll also put that in the description below. Now at this point it's stuck to the engine, so we're going to go ahead and tap this and pull it off at the same time, like so. You have to pull this out to get this off right here. Pull the carburetor almost all the way out. It'll give you access to this rod, the governor rod here, which has to slide off the top. Okay, and then also this little teeny spring here. Be careful not to bend it. Comes right off like that. Put that to the side. Now, I know that this carburetor is going to be full of gas, so we're just going to take it off straight. Don't tip it. Now, normally, I'll just make sure that the gaskets, that's how the gasket goes. So I always make sure it goes on the carburetor correctly first, and then I just turn the carburetor around, put it on. Carburetor has to sit out so we can put the throttle linkage on there. Just like so. A little spring. Like that. We can go ahead and put the fuel line down on it while we're here. Okay, so this gasket here, just remember that the opening right there is going to go right where that hole is. So we're going to put the gasket on like so. We go ahead and put, now this right here should slide onto your vent tube for the valve cover. Now also we have these collars. Sometimes you can put the collars on before, and sometimes you have to put them on afterward. I'm just going to try, let's just try. See if I can slide these in there. Okay, so it was easier to put the collars in first. I've done it both ways, but that was pretty easy that way. Slide that on. Go ahead and tighten these up. Okay. Make sure that tube's in all the way. Everything looks good there. Now we do have to, before we put this cover on, that throttle had to stay at a certain spot. Okay, so we have to put this back on. That covers the inlet, so no snow will actually get right down and through the carburetor. And just for everybody wondering why there is not an air cleaner, there is no air cleaners because when it snows, there is no dust, normally. Phillips head screwdriver. Okay, you go ahead and put the primer line back up into its spot right here. I actually don't like the way that's like that. It looks pinched. I'm gonna leave that off. I think the electrical line was supposed to be in there. Somebody's definitely had this off. And they definitely hold the wires and maybe the primer line, but believe it or not, I'm gonna put the electrical line there. I'm gonna leave this hang off to the side in this way. See, you don't wanna have anything towards the muffler area, the hot area, because you don't want this stuff to melt, but that's not gonna be in the way right there. So we're gonna go ahead and put this on like this. I'm gonna put that wire, instead of being on this side, I'm gonna leave the wire on this side. That's how I wanna do it. Then we have to go around to the front here. And we have to make sure that the throttle goes through the little hole. You may have to move your throttle to get it through the slot right there. You just may have to move the throttle around to get through the slot. Now once I have it set in here, we have to come up here and we have to make sure that the choke rod up here will go in. So I got it right there. And then this has to go underneath the gas tank, like so. Okay, so it just takes a little bit of manipulating and you get it to seat. It'll fit good. We're gonna put the bolts back in. Don't tighten all the bolts until you get them all started. Little trick that I use, you get a little paper towel, put it on a socket, put your bolt in there, it shouldn't fall out. Line it up. Once you get it started, you can take that off. I forgot to show you guys when this was off on the carburetor, but there's a wide spot on the shaft itself, and there's a wide spot on this, and then there's a skinny spot on that shaft. You have to make sure that you line them up correctly and lock it down. So that wraps it up for removing and reinstalling a carburetor on a Cub Cadet 2X24 snow thrower. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.